What's going on, my friends? It's Bill DeWeese, voiceover pro and voiceover career coach. And just around the corner, Thanksgiving. Very excited. I hope you are as well. It's always good to get together with friends and the most important people in our lives and to share a big meal together and a little football along the way and lots of turkey and pumpkin pie. In addition to that, Black Friday. It's always a big tradition, and it has become a tradition with my voiceover training. And this is a teaser, just to let you know that I will be doing a big Black Friday sale. But stay tuned. Stay close. Stay tuned for details. Today, I want to talk about getting stuck in voiceover. The other day, I recorded a video in which I talked about some very important advice that my father gave me, where he encouraged me to think like a business owner, think more like an entrepreneur and less like an employee, which really helped to give me direction and a sense of what I wanted to do with my life, and certainly has helped as I built my voiceover career and my voiceover business. But he also gave me some other really important advice, which I think relates very much to voiceover, and it's this. My dad he never wanted me to come home during the summers when I was in college. It wasn't so much he didn't want me to come home, he was afraid for me to come home. And here's why he was afraid. He was afraid that if I came home during the summer, I would go to work at the local glass factory where he worked and where he had seen so many young men and women who had gone off to college would come back to work in the summertime and become comfortable with the idea of getting paid and getting money. And before you know it, decide, well, I think I'll skip a year of school. So a year goes by, 5 years go by, you have a family, and now you're stuck in this job that you really never intended to have. But now I'm in a place where it's really difficult to get out of it. And it's because you become comfortably stuck. You're getting enough to get by. So you really never feel motivated enough to do anything about it. And I took my dad's advice. I never came back home during the summertime. Of course, I came back to visit and spent some extended times visiting my family, but I always worked outside in a way and doing things that would help to advance my long-term, career goals and dreams. So how does that apply to voiceover, getting stuck in voiceover? It's part of our human psychology to be comfortable. I don't need to tell you that. You know that. It's interesting because most of us have things we aspire to, things that we want to do. But yet you have to contrast that against our human nature, which is always pulling us back into this sense of comfort. But to get where we want to go requires us to become uncomfortable, to go into new environments we haven't been in, to learn new things that we haven't learned yet. So that's the rub. And I think it's probably fair to say that the vast majority of people become comfortably stuck where they're at. So it's enough to get by. It's not bad. It's not bad enough we're motivated to do anything about it. So we just kind of stay where we're at. I see this in voiceover a lot. And let me explain in more detail what that is. And let's talk about things that you can do to get unstuck. And that is, I see people frequently who find some success in voiceover, and they find it maybe within a platform, maybe a pay-to-play site, or maybe like in Voice Bunny or Fiverr or wherever it may be, and find some success there. Maybe even enough, are able to grow their income enough to where it's a great supplement to their full-time income, or maybe even enough to leave their job and to make a full-time living. And it seems like nirvana. You've finally reached the epitome of where you want to go. But in reality, you're settling for far less than you're capable of. Okay, so let's talk more about what exactly do I mean by that? Well, for instance, let's say you're on a platform like let's talk about let me give you a personal example. Let's talk about me. Earlier on in my career, I was involved in the pay-to-play sites like Voices.com, Voice123, which I still am today. But I began to win jobs, and most of those jobs were jobs that paid, and this was, we're talking 12, 13 years ago. We're paying $100 to $150. And I was able to get enough work. Actually, I was making a six-figure income. I was able to get that much work, not just from that platform, but from other means as well. And it was more money than I'd ever made before. And I was giddy, as I should have been. I mean, that's cause for celebration. But after a while, I realized that I had become very comfortable in what I was doing, and I was leaving a lot of potential money on the table because I was not going for anything else. Now, sometimes growing and expanding means moving away from one thing into another, from one career into another, or in voiceover, maybe from one platform, one way of doing things into another platform. Sometimes it's simply just asking for more money. And so with the case with me being on Voices and Voice 123 at that time, I decided that I needed to compete for more pay. Because when those $200 jobs came along, I was ecstatic. And I almost felt like I didn't deserve it, like I'm not good enough to do this. But the $100 jobs, yeah, I'm good enough to do that, So I decided that I would make a concentrated effort to audition for and to look for higher pay jobs. Because my philosophy has been and continues to be, and I encourage my students to do this, is to always test the ceiling. You've heard me often say that you're only worth what the market's willing to pay you. The market determines your monetary value. Obviously, your inherent value is more than would be measurable. It's unmeasurable. But your monetary value, that is determined by the market. You're worth what they're willing to pay you. And there are variables that go into that. But oftentimes we don't either A, test to see what the market's willing to pay us, and or B, we don't develop ourselves to be deserving of that higher, pay scale. So I decided to begin testing the ceiling. And long story short, over a matter of several years, that the norm of 100 or 150 became a norm of 200, 250. And then what I was getting paid 100 for, I was getting paid 300 for, or 400, and sometimes 500 and 600. And then, you get the 4-figure jobs, and then there's the 5-figure jobs. And the point is, you cannot stay comfortably stuck and progress. You have to test. You have to stick your water in your foot in the cold water, in the place where it's uncomfortable, the place where you don't want to go, to find out where you're at. And once you might be shocked at what the market's willing to pay you. And if they're not, well, then you can get back to work and making yourself valuable enough to command what it is that you want or feel that you deserve. But I see it happen time and time again. Again, whether it's moving to a different platform or simply asking for more money. You've got to always be testing the ceiling. Otherwise, you do become comfortably stuck. Hey, and there's nothing wrong with making your living in voiceover doing lower pay jobs, unless you're capable of doing better. And I would strongly encourage you to test and find out. And if you're not and want to be, then you can work towards that. So my question for you today is, are you comfortably stuck in voiceover? I think that's a question worth thinking about. And if you feel that, yeah, I think I am, what would be the next steps to begin testing the waters and stretching yourself a little bit and getting out of your comfort zone to find out what your true potential is? And if I can be some help in that way, that's why I developed the VoiceOver Blueprint training program, mentoring, immersive, comprehensive training program. If you want to find out more, there's a link below the description, theblueprintcall.com. Thanks again for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it and enjoy these opportunities to have these discussions. Please comment if you like it, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and we'll talk soon.